So, moving on to a movie that you've seen, and I got to go see it myself. I was going to go see it today, maybe tonight, is Don't Worry, Darling. And Don't Worry, Darling actually premiered pretty big, Kyle. $19 million. It won the weekend. So, I mean, it was 19.2 actually, and it was over about 4,100 theaters. And it made another $10 million overseas. So it's now up to about $30 million. And it was on a $35 million budget too. So it's anything it makes next weekend, it wins. First of all, did you like the movie?
I like the movie. I didn't love the movie.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that being said, as I said, it won the weekend, and I've got to see this myself. It only got a B- on Cinema Score from moviegoers.
You see,
which
okay. So you say it only got a B-,
and I say only because
the thing with Cinema Score is if you don't get an A on Cinema Score, it's not good. Because
I know that, and that was the wrong thing for me to say. It got a big mediocre, and that's the word.
The thing is for the viewers that don't know, the way Cinema Score works is you have these folks that are standing outside the theater when the movie is playing, and then when the people walk out, they say to the people, "What did you think of the movie? Would you give it an A, a B, a C, a D, an F?" And most of the time, if it's a good movie, the people will say, or the audience will say, "I give it an A, I give it an A, I give it an A." But if, they poll it and it gets like a B- average Cinema Score, that means people are walking out of the film with a bit of disappointment. And what is most alarming is the people walking into the movie and when you get the Cinema Score, it's like for the opening weekend. So most of the people going to see this film are its target audience. And the fact that...
Well, and that was a perfect segue, because to your point, and we discussed this the other day, 66% of the ticket buyers were female, while nearly 70% of them were from 18 to 34.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and you hit the nail right on the head. So it actually did really well. For Thursday night previews and IMAX on Monday, it made $9.5 million.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So it made a good portion of its money.
My theater was packed. Mine had like only a couple of seats empty, and given a film, you have to understand, for a film that isn't a Marvel movie, a comic book film, or a franchise film, this is huge given that it is an original film. The thing that really, I think, helped this movie, though, was Harry Styles. And I think a lot of the as you mentioned, the ages, like a lot of this has to do with Harry Styles being in this movie. And I will say time and time again, I don't think Dunkirk would have made the money it made if Harry Styles wasn't in that film. And you're going to see, I think, unfortunately, the word of mouth for Don't Worry, Darling, I don't think will help it, because the Cinema Score, I mean, the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is pretty good, but it is getting to the point where you're not going to see a lot of people telling their friends to go head out and see Don't Worry, Darling. I'm not.
It's going to be one of those films, I think, where it's see it at the last resort.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because there's nothing else there. So I mean, so we had The Woman King that made $11 million in Avatar, which we'll talk about here in a minute.
The Woman King, should mention The Woman King. That is remarkable. It had a 40% drop. A 40% drop. That is unbelievable when you take in the fact that a lot of movies on their second week have like a 50% drop. And if it's like above 50, that is usually bad. So the fact that this movie, The Woman King, which is also technically like an original film, it's not a franchise or anything, led by black women, has had such a great second weekend drop, with the fact that you had a Don't Worry Darling come out that same weekend. And I think that is incredible. And I think Woman King is one of those films that is going to have great legs based on word of mouth. Is it going to have Top Gun Maverick legs? No movie does have that, but it will have, I would say, for the movie it is, it would have Top Gun Maverick like legs for the movie it is, and that's, I don't think, what Don't Worry Darling will have, because the word of mouth on that film is really not going to carry it past its opening weekend, I feel.
Well, I think a couple of things, and you're absolutely right on that. And I think a couple of things, and we were just talking about this off camera. So we got Amsterdam that's going to be coming up very shortly.
Yeah.
Okay. We have Halloween Ends, that even though that's going to be premiering on Peacock as well, I think people are going to want to go see that, whether it's a good or a bad film. It's still the end of that. And then you're going to have, so my point is this is only going to have 1 or 2 weeks of making its money before we have something else just take over the number one spot. And so it has to make its money now before anything else comes out, because it won't later on.
And I was thinking about this today, and I think it might be really interesting if next week Avatar makes more money than Don't Worry Darling. I don't know if it will, but if you look at the way Avatar works, it always, it's in a re-release second weekend. That's usually smaller, but I will be seeing Avatar next week, because I didn't get the chance to see it this like weekend. So I will be seeing it this week. So I am an example of someone that will end up seeing it the week after that. And who knows? Some people might go back out to see it again. It's going to be really interesting.
So that's a perfect segue. So have you guys seen Don't Worry Darling? If you did, what did you think of it? Did you go see it because of Harry Styles? Did you go see it because of the controversy? Or did you just want to go see it because you really liked the movie and you were interested with it? Leave us your thoughts down in the comments.